Hello, Happy New Year. This is Andrew. Welcome to Atomo Sunday Shenanigans edition. And got a few things here going on. Hope you all had a great New Year. And let's bring up some of our stuff to land us into the new year. Bum, 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 bum. And here we have it. You want to give it a try? You want to give it a try? Go up, give it a try. 2023 is going to give you a lot of chances to give it a try. So I suggest you go out there and this is going to be the year of going first. We've seen some of that already in 2022, Federal Reserve raising rates, uh, Putin jumping into a conflict, and now we're even getting you've seen Merkel or heard about it where it said, oh yeah, Minsk agreement is just us, just buying time. Like, okay, yeah, that's quite a bit of shenanigans where you're trying to build up trust and do mutual cooperation, and then next thing you know it, yeah, we'll do Minsk agreements. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll help you. We'll have you fund some pipelines to move commodity to us, and then you know somehow boom boom later on there they go. uh so a lot of things going on there. Here's some shenanigans coming up. We're back to this thing again. Here's the New Yorker coming out and saying, hey, a case for wearing masks forever. This is a December 28th, and they go through and they create this what emerged? The People's CDC. It's like, yeah. Ragtag coalition of academics, doctors, and activists and artists who believe that the government has left them to fend for themselves against COVID-19. It's like, oh my God, government, you're not coming and helping us. Um, there were a lot of doctors during the COVID time that wanted to put forward a treatment protocol in order to assist us. Okay, no medical advice here, no financial advice, no legal advice. I'm not giving medical advice out here. I'm just talking about these articles. And now you got the factions that we've been talking about in this program over a series of episodes. And now it looks like this, trying to get the court of public opinion to jump in and calling it the People's CDC. It sounds like, yeah, yeah, when you start calling people stuff and get that communism going, get the commie stuff. Um, it's a bit chilling, and they're saying here that yeah, we're going to use science and figure it out through science. The mask thing, I haven't seen any. I've actually seen more conversation about it being possibly harmful, uh, depending on on the mask hygiene. It's just something like, I might wear it if I have a cold and I might be coughing and going on public transportation. Like if I need to and I do have a cough, I try to stay home as most as possible. But here's the thing: is yeah, I have people figure this out. The government can't figure things out fast enough. This is why you want to decentralize stuff as much as possible and let many different ideas come into play. So if a bunch of doctors decided we're going to have some early protocols for combating COVID with a set of pharmaceuticals that have been reported as safe and effective, but they find a configuration of those uh, of that medicine that gets you past the the virus quickly. So, and that's what happened with things like the think Canada COVID Care Alliance. Then there are some in the US, and they have like the Math Plus protocols for early treatment. All of them, I can only talk about myself. I've done some of that, and it worked out quite well when I had COVID. Um, stay healthy, eat well, exercise, and that sheds a whole bunch of problems off. So yeah, not much that I want to continue on here. Um, but in lighter side, let's jump over to here. It looks like, hey, we're going to be getting a present. Uh, President Trump was ultimately banned from Twitter on the 8th, 2021, and what would be fun is if the Fauci files drop on 8, 2023. That would be neat, and that would be within the week. Um, just, just one more lockdown, my king. Yes, please, please, more masks, more jabs. We got a lot of extra jab juice here, and we need to get rid of that jab juice. So why not line up? Come on, take your shot. Got some tea going on here, some good gamaisha. Ah, just a good thing to do, just to get some of the partying stuff out for New Year's. Yeah, had a great New Year's. Um, got some people over, had some fun. It's great that we didn't need to worry about another lockdown, my king. No, we can get together and have some fun and just manage. We canceled one party because a couple of families were sick. Okay, great. Then we'll have it when everybody's on the mend and better. No problem. Yeah. When will we get the Twitter files on COVID? Oh, the suspense is killing. Yeah. Oh, it's coming big time. Okay, well, hopefully he's not overselling it. Looking for some big time fun coming on here. And let's see, what else do we have in the hopper? Yeah, so I like this. Look what the Elon is putting up. What if I told you that the only way to escape the matrix is to unlearn everything that you have been taught and rebuild your entire belief system based on critical thought and analysis? Oh my god, that's racist! That's racist! Oh, math! Math! 2 plus 2 equals 5. My truth, my truth. Like, yeah, okay. That it's kind of blowing my mind. I even have a family member that works in academia, and my joking is, she will complain that, okay, well, the students are complaining about their grades and I think complaining about how some of the questions have been marked. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, it's basically A, B, C, D, and I'll just scratch in E, my truth. And she said, yeah, that's about it. So the thing to note when this kind of stuff is going on is, yeah, if you can build up that ways of rigorous reasoning and be able to pierce through all the stuff that's coming at you and extract out the appropriate levels of analysis, check that analysis test, simulate that analysis, and just to determine, did the analysis get knocked out by the early simulations or not? If it gets knocked out, like, what happens? Again, as my family member said, is, well, it's quite inconvenient when the data comes back and says, yeah, your hypothesis is wrong. Like, oh, can I like do anything to my data to make it right? Well, the data is data, and if you've done it through the proper methodological means to build it, then that's, if it blows your hypothesis out of the water, like, great, you learned something. The thing with the doing a doctorate program, uh, problem we could run into is you're spending so much time to get to that point, and just to see it all get knocked down is quite a challenging thing to swallow when that happens. Well, this is part of some of the work that I do is to help organizations get to the point where they can knock down the options really quick. And at first, you want to expand out the range of options. When you're dealing with complex problems, you want to have a lot of options on the table. And the joke that I like is, okay, well, pizzas in 30 minutes. Okay, well, how can I move that slider? If I want to have your pizza delivered in 30 minutes, what if I start to move the slider? Okay, what would it take to deliver a pizza in 5 minutes? What would it take to deliver a pizza in 5 months? It's like, okay, well, does it really make sense? But part of the optionality and creativity is, well, what if? Let's just play what if and see if the type of solutions change. So 30 minutes, want to do a pizza maybe in 20 minutes, I can only offer two types of pizzas that are very minimal. Like, okay, I'll do a pepperoni and a Canadian. I don't know why Canadian has pineapple on it. So I want to know, pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I'm in the no camp, so don't let me bias you. No, pineapple on pizza. Ooh, creates a little like soggy, gooey areas on the pizza. Like you really have to caramelize that pineapple to get it to a good point. But pineapple's been sitting there and it juices out while the pizza's cooking, and it just kind of like just bleh on your pizza. No. So and then with the pizza thing, if you want to do it in 5 minutes, how about we have helicopters flying all over, and then you'd kind of just fire the pizzas out of the helicopter. Uh, Big pizza ovens within the helicopters come flying over your house and just bombed pizzas down. It seems like a snow crash type thing to do. That's Neil Stevenson's book, where pizza is delivered by mafia members. So it's quite a good book if you ever want to get into kind of a nod. I don't think it's not, well, it's kind of dystopian in the way that he sets it up. The United States has collapsed, and there's the one leader of the Hong Kong group. So like it splits into different factions. The leader of the Hong Kong group is always carrying this nuclear suitcase with him at all times. So I think if he gets taken out, then the bomb goes off, something like that. So yeah, so that's the Snow Crash book. Um, so this is interesting. I'll have to put the headset on for this. Let's go over to, there we go. Let's go over to Sunak and see, hey, what great things does he have to say?
I also spoke to Polish President Duda this morning to offer my wholehearted support and assurance that the United Kingdom stands steadfastly behind him and his people at this worrying time. We should all be clear, none of this would be happening if it weren't for Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, there you got it.
This is the cruel and unrelenting reality of Putin's war. As long as it goes on, it poses a threat to our security and that of our allies. And as long as it goes on, it will continue to devastate the global economy. I also...
Okay. Let's think about that. Is the West getting devastated? Yeah, through stupidity and idiocracy. And you have here Mr. Sunak helping you out with that every step of the way. So Putin invading a country could either, to liberate a group of people who are ethnically Russian, essentially after there was a coup in Ukraine to change it to more of a West leaning entity rather than a more of an Eastern leaning entity. And it really upset the apple cart for some of the multinationals that are looking to actually develop energy. There's a lot of energy reserves outside in the Black Sea area that can be prospected for. And so to bring in Europe's, like a conduit into Europe, because the Syrian Turkey conduit was blocked by, and we'll maybe talk a bit about that, but that conduit was blocked. you can bring up a lot of energy out of Qatar. Qatar is a massive. Maybe they have the second largest reserves in the world outside of their territorial waters that they can develop and have been, but they have to pipe it. And that piping has to go through, Iraq or maybe up through Iran. They're not going to play ball because they have their own energy reserves they want to sell. So you have to find another route for that, and pops you through parts of Syria into Turkey. So Turkey will definitely charge you transit fees to bring that through. But you don't see Russians starving or falling over themselves over this conflict. You just see the West and the decline of the empire at this rate. So you know if you're going to be blowing a whole bunch of stuff on COVID, that's kind of my point I'd like to make is, oh yeah, COVID spending, more COVID spending, and more COVID spending, locking down and shutting down your stuff. You know, so let's look at another problem here that's going on. So what's happening in Portland? Let's give this one a
So
whirl.
how is it like being homeless in Portland?
It's a piece of cake, really. I mean, that's why you probably got so many out here, because they feed you 3 meals a day. You don't have to do shit but stay in your tent or party, or if you smoke a lot of dope, you can do that. What else? What else, Melissa? What else do I say? I'm being interviewed.
What's
Yeah,
it?
that's really it. It's like you wake up, you go eat at Blanche, get high. Go eat at Blanche for lunch, get high. Go eat dinner, get high. And that's all you do all day long, every day. I'm being honest.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like that's really helping anybody.
It's not. That's why you see all the tents. People are up all night. Okay, people are up all night, sleep all day.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing, Derek. So how is it like being homeless in
All right.
Portland?
Yeah, so that's just one of the things with addiction is if you don't put up some sort of barrier to help people break that chain, then people are inclined to keep doing it. So so one of the things, for example, is the homeless people getting some like unemployment insurance, and just like maybe they had a drug habit or something and it impacted the way they did work, and now they're on the street. And but if they still have a type of income that they can get, what tends to happen is they get their stipend, they go out and they buy drugs and alcohol and party it off, and next thing you know it, they're like, oh. And the moment they don't have money, then then start cleaning themselves up, uh, and finding that it might be even possible to clean up so much you can get back into the workforce and stop the cycle. Because that's the other thing is, oh, it looks like they have a lot of freedom being on the streets, but also you see the cycle that she's talking about is you eat, you get high, you eat, you get high. What else is there to do, really? After a while, it's you know that can become quite a doldrum to be stuck in that cycle. There's even talk about, hey, when people got put away for possessing or dealing and had to stay a week in prison or something, and then you can't do drugs and you come out and you're actually starting to get cleaned up, uh, unless not going to get into like all the ways that you can get stuff within the penal system. I think there's other videos on doing that, but that's not the point. The point is need to find a barrier to keep people out of, especially get into an addiction cycle. Need to break that by putting in some sort of link. And even one of the things that's suggested is, to really, really, really change uh, the behavior is you almost have to have a higher religious experience. Though I'm not pushing religion on anybody here, but that's just some of the things that I've heard that needs to happen is, you gotta find a higher purpose that gets you out of that cycle, that gets you wanting to do something better. And so that's the hope for these folk. And saying, well, okay, we're just gonna go and we're gonna, just give them everything they need and some money and, you know a beautiful room somewhere in a hotel. It might be the immigrant thing, but there's even talk about doing it with the homeless population. So yeah, but moving on to other things. Again, we have here the well, all that stuff about China and China locking down. And we're like, no, no, China locking down, no, against the freedoms. Even here, I didn't get a catch a clip of pretty boy Trudeau here in Canada. So it's just doing his bad, bad, bad. You shouldn't do that. Hypocritical. Yeah, he'll stomp a Canadian homegrown protest with police horses. But when it comes to other countries doing their tyrannical things, like bad, you should be doing freedoms. And next thing you know, okay, well, there were a lot of protests in China, and China, okay, they stopped. They stopped having the zero COVID policy. It looked like it wasn't going very well. That's one of the things with China is when things get really, really bad and the people start to revolt, they have to be very careful in China about these types of revolts, and they don't want it to get to a point where it hits critical areas. And what I mean is, if you get critical factions, say it that way, that jump on to that protest, it could disrupt the control that that party has. And with 1.5 billion people or so, you have to be careful with your controls. And when things are getting a little too rambunctious and you can't see what the overall benefit of it is, okay, stop it. And that's what they did. They stopped it. They shut off zero COVID because the world was seeing, and pictures were getting out, the whaling towers. So if you do a Google search or something, maybe not necessarily Google unless they're hiding it, the whaling towers of everybody screaming. So they're doing, like here in Canada, like 7 p.m. we do like bang, bang, bang early in the COVID days for the frontline care staff and workers. In China, what they did is at a certain time they were starting to yell from their windows, like it was like a 2 minutes of hate against what was going on. And yeah, pretty eerie seeing that. Then on another piece here, let's step back. I like this one just to finish this off here. This comes from Rand Paul, the Festivus report. So what's going on here? Well, he's highlighting a whopping, good God, look how big that number is. So 100,000 millions, $482 billion of waste. Steroid-induced hamster fight club. Oh yeah. So he goes through, oh yeah, interest payments on the debt. Well, that's not quite shenanigans, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. What Jerome Powell's trying to do. You see all the. I have this link, so you can go and hit. I'll put my Twitter up with the notes for this, and Starbucks espresso machines in the Department of Defense. Oh yeah, used for yoga and concerts. And it's just using COVID relief funds to construct an 11,000 square foot spa. And there's a one where some dominatrix gals in Florida wanted to create a dungeon. I think that was a bit of a, you can do a search for that one. Just Florida dominatrix dungeon funds request, and there's some videos on that one. But overall, injecting 6-month-old beagle puppies with cocaine, like, okay, I mean, for what? Since how medicine's all going pretty. Oh, Using mice to study racial aggression. Okay, I didn't know that there were racial classes within mice. Mice care about that kind of stuff. Redeveloping the United States hard cider market. And you're going to redevelop that at, $500,000 to do that. Okay. Radio campaign telling drivers stop at railway crossings, Department of Transportation. So verifying that kids love their pets. That's it, and only $187,000 for that. Oh, come on. Could do better. So he provides a whole bunch of stuff on this. More than 31.5 million COVID relief funds were used to purchase luxury cars. Yeah. You help 4 people whom isn't even a US citizen purchase luxury cars. Wow, I wonder if Andrew Tate got in on any of that juice and bought another car in Romania. Yeah, so this is every time you see these numbers. If the thing that they're funding is not providing something of value, then we have to, like, okay, subsidizing the free New York Staten Island ferry for in tune of $70 million. So this is the thing is, if you're paying $70 million to do that, what is going to be the offset? How are you going to gain more than that money going in? And so this is part of it when we started this with the critical thinking and analysis, is if all of this were to go through an appropriate analysis, maybe they have, but analysis things are sometimes easy to fudge and game. Yeah, so training mice to binge drink alcohol depends on what hypothesis they're trying to come up with. If it gives us some idea what sort of alcohol complexes we might have, then we have to take a look at, is there a biological circuit that humans also have that gives us insights on that binge drinking. But of course, we find anything fun and they're interesting, then that counteracts what policies or procedures or money spending government already has in place. We'll just call it racist and kill and destroy the study and shut the study down. So there are some of the things going on for this Shenanigans report. Let's say Happy New Year again. We'll put the link to the Twitter in so you can go through and peruse some of those articles. And I wish you a safe and prosperous 2023, and hopefully we get to see a 2024. I don't want to be completely black-pilled here, but there's still a lot of ground to cover coming up. We're not out of the doldrums yet. It's actually going to get worse. So please strap yourself in for it. Prepare any way you can, and let me know in the comments or anything that you're seeing that you'd like me to cover, and I can definitely do that for you. So have a great New Year's 2023. And stop.